So, if you will please close your eyes and begin to scan your body from head to toe, looking for any areas of inconsistency in your body or in your energy field, in your mind. So these scans are an extremely important part of healing anything in your body and assisting others with healing as well. So you simply want to look for areas of tension, look for thoughts that arise. Notice how deep your breathing can go today. Your physical body is giving you messages from the unseen world, whether it is internal or external. Thoughts are not random, they are indicators of something going on in your life. Simply notice and set them aside. We will begin with the basic heart breathing. The directions are as follows. On the inhale, you will breathe in through energy centers 6 and 5, meaning the sixth and the fifth chakras if you are new to this work. The energy will expand from 6 and 5 down to the fourth energy center, where it will expand wide to the top of the inhale. As you release and exhale, the energy will release from the front of the heart energy center. It will circle around the arms to the back of the heart energy center like the rings of Saturn. The energy will enter the back of the fourth energy center, rise up the spine, all the way through the top of the head, where it will, with the end of the exhale, release in the eighth energy center. We will begin on 3. 1, 2, 3. Breathe in through 6 and 5 to 4. Release from front to back and up to 8. Breathe in through 6 and 5 to 4. Release from front to back and up to 8. Breathe in through 6 and 5 to 4. Release from front to back and up to 8. Breathe in through 6 and 5 to 4. Release from front to back and up to 8. Breathe in through 6 and 5 to 3. Release from front to back and up to 8. Breathe in through 6 and 5 to 2. Release from front to back and up to 8. Breathe in through 6 and 5 to 1. Release from front to back and up to 8. Breathe in through 6 and 5 to 4, 3, 2, and 1 all at once. Release from front to back and up to 8. Breathe in through 6 and 5 to 5. Release from front to back, then back to front and up to 8. Breathe in through 6 to 6. Release from front to back and up to 8. Breathe in through 6 and 5 to 4. Release from front to back and up to 8. And resume natural breathing, scanning your body once again. We welcome you to this space of beauty, love, connection, higher frequencies, and healing. Today with us are the Blue Healers, our group. The Violet people have come for healing today, and the Circle of 12. We invite you to open your eyes when you are ready, and we will begin with your first question.
Thank you. The question is from Andrea. Dear higher dimensional friends, can you explain the role of bacteria, viruses, fungi, and parasites in relation to the human microbiome? And may you provide guidance as to what we can do if we perceive that our microbiome is out of harmony. Thank you.
We thank you for this question. Being part of the human world is very interesting for us to observe. For those of you who still live in a state of separation or duality, you will find that there are experiences that you describe as being negative and experiences that you describe as being positive. In your question, it is clear that you believe on some level that these individual items you have expressed are somehow bad, and somehow your microbiome, your internal system, is out of balance. In fact, for those of you who have any situation in your life whereby you have a sensation that something inside you is out to get you, you are seeing things in a light that is very dark rather than from a higher vibrational frequency, which is that all things exist in a positive way on your planet. There are simply symbiotic relationships. If you are concerned that there is an imbalance in your microbiome, know that your internal world is no different from your external world. Your external something is out of balance because your internal something is out of balance. Your internal something is out of balance because your external something is out of balance. For those of you who have a condition in your physical body that is out of balance, we will recommend once again the importance of leaning into seeing that all things are out of great love. Your body is simply giving you messages, it is giving you information, and your mind, your head, your thoughts wish to make sense out of it. And therefore, these two things, your thoughts and your body, are attempting to fight for who is going to win whatever battle you have created in your world. This means that there is what you would call a victim in a situation, and there needs to be a savior. Are you setting it up so that you perceive your imbalance in your microbiome as a war or as a situation for which it makes you feel sad? In fact, many humans on your planet have microbiome situations that throw off the psychological balance, that throw off the organ systems of the body. And this is not as it is not what you think it is. Instead, it is simply your body giving you information that your vibrational frequency needs to begin to match what it is you want, rather than what it is you believe from the past. If you are looking for specific solutions, yes, try all the things that come to you. Go to doctors who can assist you. Try supplements that may help you. Read things that could increase your knowledge about your microbiome. But know, in fact, that even the simplest things can be what you might say helpful or harmful. So notice that many humans like to go a little overboard with treatments for what they believe to be an imbalance in their physical bodies. These imbalances are symbols or signs that something needs to simply come into better alignment. Through the healing practices that we have to offer you, that the violet healers, the blue healers, and the Circle of 12 have to offer you today, we will assist you with understanding that these tensions within you can simply be remedied without thought processes per se, and you can focus simply on releasing and bringing better harmony into your mind, your body, and your energy field. Think of it this way. The tensions that you perceive in your body, whether they are physical pains, mental inconsistencies, characterized by unwanted thoughts, whether it is a psychological challenge such as depression or addiction. It could be a chemical imbalance of your hormones in reaction to old programming from your past. These inconsistencies in the human world create what we have described as gravity within the cells, whereby the information of negativity and discord come together to create tension in a physical body that becomes then an adhesion. So it is a little like when your hands are sticky and you are attempting to remove something from it that is stuck. And instead, you are collecting more things to your sticky hands. So the solution would be to use water or something that would help to remove the underlying sticky part. Your habits and patterns, your thoughts and experiences have created a lot of stickiness within you that then evolves into tension, pain, challenges, discord, contrast, suffering, and any other word you wish to describe areas in your body that are uncomfortable. Our healing practices aim to assist you in removing the adhesions in the energy field that create symptoms such as an inconsistent or unbalanced microbiome. For the person who specifically asked this question, you are trying to find a solution within your microbiome that is not relevant to the actual issue that's going on for you specifically. You are diverting your attention, as many of you do in the human world. You divert your attention from what it is you want, what it is that needs to be handled in the moment, and you focus on something that is not important and would resolve itself if you would simply let it be, because you are afraid. Fear in your world is rampant, and fear in your world often comes simply from being born into your bodies. Imagine the great trauma that happens as you are born. It does not matter how you are born. It does not matter how loving your parents may have been when they welcomed you into this world. The act of being born in a human body through the human experience is somewhat painful, and that creates trauma, whereby you spend the rest of your life trying to avoid it by fixing your gut microbiome, by fixing your mental health, by avoiding simply emerging into the maturity of existing in what simply is in the moment. For the person who asked this question, your fear is very high. It has been buried under years of intense practice for remaining calm. As you are in this group and doing this work, you are finding that the fear wants to emerge. It wants to escape. Yet your mind wants to think that you have a microbiome issue, that you have a mental health issue, and therefore you can focus on researching and experiencing all those things rather than simply allowing yourself the quiet time to breathe into your body and to simply locate the areas of tension that are and have been created by the intense fear of whatever you experienced as a child. This is not an answer specific to one person, but to all of you. If any of you have pain in your bodies, if any of you have experiences where your body is out of balance, you are experiencing the same thing. If you wish to throw probiotics If you wish to do more cleansing and more cleansing and more cleansing and more cleansing and more depleting and more cleansing, changing your diet, changing this, changing that, trying this, trying that, you can certainly do all those things. And if you get results, kudos to you, because those results will free you up to have an experience to get to the actual source of the issue instead. Only use things outside of yourself to create more freedom within you, to sit longer, to express yourself within longer, to scan your body for more moments, to breathe into those tensions, those adhesions, the areas in your body where the gravity of your fear has drawn together and created something you may call an entity, a pain, or some form of suffering. Use the tools at hand. This is why they have emerged in your world. Everything in your world is in a state of attempting to raise its vibrational frequency. The stones in your front yard are attempting to assist you in raising vibrational frequency. The plants in your world, the things that you eat, both animals and plants, the water you consume, the air that you breathe. You are stewards of your planet. You are stewards of your physical body. You are also in a process, whether you are aware of it or not, of increasing your vibrational frequency for yourself, for all living things on your planet, for your planet itself. You are impacting not only you specifically, but your entire world and the universe. Allow this to be a fun game. Imagine that bacteria, fungi, and parasites are like cartoon characters dancing around in your body. They wish to play. They wish to exist somewhere. Maybe it is that you are looking at it like they are bad and you need to fight them. Instead, invite yourself to say, "Wow, I am full of parasites. Let's play today." That does not mean that you ignore a doctor's orders. That simply means that you change your relationship from trying to fight in a battle to instead dancing and singing and playing with the things within you for which you are finding challenges. Perception for the human is 99.99999999999% of the experience of everything you have going on within you. Your next question.
Thank you. Question from Selam. Dear Blues, once we shifted to a new dimension with a desired outcome, the challenge is staying there. That's what Dr. Joe calls the new box. However, the density of 3D life can make it quite challenging to stay there. Do you have any tips for staying in that new dimension more easily without getting pulled into the reality of 3D?
We love this question, and the Violet Healers also have something they would like to say in a moment. From our perspective, the person who has asked this question, our recommendation for you at this time is to find a reputable airport with a reputable bunch of people who take people up into the sky and do tandem skydiving events. Jump out of an airplane and do something that will allow you to see that as you free fall, you are both in 3D and 5D at the same time. For those of you who have not experienced a thrill whereby your body seems to escape from your mind and your heart and your energy for that moment when a roller coaster tips over the edge at the top of the hill and plunges down into nothingness, for those of you who have not had that experience, go find one that is safe, that is careful, that is clearly the right match for you. Find a way to create a scenario where you can have the sensation of allowing your body to be present, allowing your mind to be clear, and allowing yourself to experience what it's like to be both in the unseen and the seen world at the same time. These experiences, maybe you will not physically go out and jump out of an airplane. Do what is right for you in all moments, but understand that from our experience, living in 3D for you has wonderful advantages as well. If you have had an experience in a meditation retreat or in your own world where you have lifted yourself out of 3D and into 5D, know that you are still bound by your 3D experience. You will never, in the physical 3D world, be entirely and solely out of it until you are out of it. That means that your task in this world, in this experience, particularly for the person asking the question, is the transition. How is it that you can be comfortable with the transition between 3D and 5D and back? The more you embrace and love the transition, the easier it will be to move between 3D and 5D. Each of you in this call, each of you on your planet will experience 3D things that feel annoying, that feel beautiful, that feel challenging, that feel loving, that feel liberating, that feel contraction or contractive. You will find that the transition, which is like the transition between the in breath and the out breath, the transition is where you need to learn to experience what you would describe as letting go. Allow yourself, when you are concerned about 5D versus 3D, how to enter 5D more, how to stay in 3D less, focus instead on that transition. Focus your breath on what is the challenge I have in the transition. Keep in mind that this experience that you are having when you move from 3D to 5D and back is the experience each of you will have in the great transition between this life and the next. Notice that when you entered this life, the vast majority of you in this group and those on your planet come in with no memories of the previous lifetime and the many lifetimes one has had. Why is that? It is simply because you have a resistance to that transition based on the evolution of your species. Now that your awareness is vastly increasing, understand that the transitions that you are loving yourself into 5D, loving yourself back to 3D, and eventually you will notice that this transition is a very small gap, meaning there is no difference between being here in 3D for you and being there in 5D with us, or wherever it is you travel in your 5D world. So take a moment, each of you, right now, and close your eyes. Focus on your natural breathing. And we want you to focus your attention very specifically on the transition between your in breath and your out breath. Now, please breathe in and breathe out without stopping the in breath at the top or the out breath at the bottom. Breathe in and out in succession, and then focus your attention on the transition between the in breath and the out breath. Notice your particular pattern of breathing. Do you breathe in longer on the inhale? Do you breathe in longer on the exhale? Do you find that in order to focus your attention, you have to stop the breath between the in breath and the out breath? Or are you able to see there is no separation between the in breath and the out breath? You are simply breathing. Focus again on the point between the in breath and the out breath as you continue your natural breathing. And now, as you breathe in and out with your eyes closed, your natural breathing, please say in your mind, as you breathe in, say 3D. As you breathe out, say 5D. Now notice which side of that breath feels a little easier for you. Is it the 3D in breath? Is it the 5D out breath? Is there a disconnect in between? If so, that is your perception right now. Your transition from 3D to 5D is that simple. We understand that you feel challenges because your conditioning to be in 3D is greater than your conditioning to be in 5D. So if you would like to spend more time in 5D, you simply need to condition your body and your mind to go there and stay there for longer and longer periods of time. And remember, with every breath, you are experiencing both 3D and 5D simultaneously. This exercise for you is like any other type of exercise. You will build endurance when you are out running on a trail. You will be able to go longer and farther and with less effort as you begin to practice your breathing in and breathing out. Other things that limit the human experience to transition between 3D and 5D are the tensions you hold in your body. So as you are breathing in and saying 3D and breathing out and saying 5D, notice where there are the tensions in your body and allow yourself to release those in the simple breath that you do for the heart. When you breathe in through 6 and 5 to 4, breathing in the 3D experience, you will release and exhale 3D, let it go completely from the front of the heart center to the back of the heart center and up through the spine, completely into the 5th dimension of the 8th energy center. Then you breathe in again from 8 through 6 and 5 to 4. You are reinforming your 3D world as you breathe in through 6 and 5 to 4 of the remembrance of your 5D experiences. So do not underestimate the power of that simple heart breath to transform you from a 3D experience to a 5D experience and back. We will take your next question, please.
Thank you. Judy asked, Hello, can you offer me advice or otherwise help me to release my sixth energy center so that I can more fully experience other dimensions? Is there something I need to know about why that is blocked? Thank you so much.
We thank you for your question. There is a particular perceptive area within the sixth energy center. For those of you who have afflictions of the physical body that impact the sixth energy center, we recommend that you begin to perceive that your energy centers all work together in order to assist you in achieving the experience of extra-dimensional experiences within you and all around you. Do not limit yourself to just this sixth energy center. Know that you have energy centers that go from 7 at the top of the head to 1 at the base of the spine. As you begin to bring coherence between 6 and all of the others, you will employ the other energy centers in assisting 6 with finding its way to releasing whatever it is that challenges your brain at this time. So, for example, we have done with you a simple practice in this call where you breathe in through 6 and 5 to 4, and then 3, and then 2, and then 1, and then 5, and then 6, and then returning back to the heart. In doing this repetitive practice, you will find that 6 and 5 will then reconnect with 4, 3, 2, and 1. Perhaps many of you have already noticed that 4, 3, 2, and 1 connect very easily to each other. These energy centers, the lower energy centers, are very deeply connected to your 3D experience. So, for those of you who wish to expand and open the sixth energy center, but you are challenged by your connection between 6 and 4, which is 6 and 4, 3, 2, and 1 altogether, you will find that you need to work more primarily with the fifth energy center. The conduit between 8, 7, 6, 5, and 4 can be opened through the spiral breath. You can always use breathing in through 6 to 6, releasing front to back and up to 8 repeatedly to release the sixth energy center. But from what we are understanding of your question through the vibrational frequency, it is that you are trying to find a way to have more mystical experiences. And this will only occur when you are able to connect all of your energy centers together at once for the purpose of having a mystical experience. This can be achieved by the spiral breath if you have areas of blockage in your body. For the person who asked this question, you have much information to bring forward from your sixth and fifth energy centers that will assist you in healing your body so that you can have a more coherent relationship between 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Please, all of you, close your eyes at this time, and we will focus our energy today on reconnecting all 7 energy centers, the primary ones that humans use in creating an ability and opportunity to reach and connect with and stay connected to mystical, extra-dimensional 5D experiences. We will do this in a very short practice. You can do it more comprehensively in your own homes. Focus on your natural breathing. Become aware of your individual energy centers and how they feel to you in the moment. Check on 7. Now 6. Now 5. Now 4. Now 3. Now 2. And 1. Scanning your energy centers for their current status and health, for how well they are spinning or not spinning, is something important to know if you wish to achieve experiences in 5D. So now on 3, we will breathe in from 7 down to 1 in an attempt to connect the energy centers in a line so that they can reach out to 8 and ultimately the quantum. 1, 2, 3. Breathe in from 7 to 1. Release from 1 to 7. Breathe in from 7 to 1. Release from 1 to 7. Breathe in from 7 to 1 in a spiral. Release from 1 to 7 in a spiral. Breathe in from 1 to 7, connecting the energy centers with your in-breath. Release from 1 to 7 in a spiral, connecting each of the energy centers. Please do this 3 more times. Breathe in from 7 to 1. Release from 1 to 7. Breathe in from 7 to 1. Release from 1 to 7. And resume natural breathing. Scan your energy centers from 7 down to 1 and 1 back up to 7. Have they connected more fully? Please continue your natural breathing with your eyes closed. The Violet Healers have a brief message for you at this time. We are grateful for your time today, and we would like to thank those of you who are reaching out to us at other times, because our assistance for you is, as you know, always available. There are a few of you in this room who require more significant attention on healing. And know that as we are here today, we have been working with your energy. If you enter this space and you do not wish to give us permission to simply come into your space and work with you in a healing capacity, please allow your host to know, or simply with your intention, say that we are not welcome, and that is perfectly fine. our world is beginning to take notice of your world because of our connection to those of you who have been reaching out to us for healing purposes. Our world is one of science and nature, and we are interested in assisting your human beings in raising the vibrational frequency to prevent the destruction of the living things on your planet and, in fact, the planet itself. It is not a concern for us at this time that you are going to destroy your planet, but we do know that you have the ability to do so, and it only takes one person, one group of people to either tip the balance into positive, higher vibrational frequencies, and the opposite is also a possibility. For those of you who are here, it is a good thing for you to begin to release the illness in your body, in your mind at this time with greater intention, because you are the people who will shift the balance in your world. There is nothing anyone from the outside can particularly do. However, know that our kind will likely be part of the experience you have within your lifetime, meaning you will have greater connection with us in your 3D world on your planet. It is time for your kind to have more open conversations about the possibility of our kind existing on your planet as if we are travelers and visitors and or ambassadors of another way of being in the world. For those of you who are suffering in your physical bodies, know that everything can be healed. Everything can be healed in a very short amount of time. It simply requires the love and attention that you have for making every breath that you take and the water that you drink to be a form of actively saying, "This is healing the body. This breath is healing the body. This breath brings in light and energy and expansion into the cells where there are mm, difficulties or challenges. Every single breath you take is your way of healing yourself. Keep it simple and spend a little less time on trying to fix yourselves and a little more time on simply breathing in the love and life that is available all around you at all times, knowing that as you exhale, you release the things that need to be removed from your physical bodies and your minds in order to have the experience of total health. We thank you for allowing us to communicate with you today. Our time is up at this point, and we, the Violet Healers, will be leaving your space. The Blue Healers will continue to be with you, and the Circle of 12 will take a moment to acknowledge you as well. You may open your eyes if you have not already done so, and recognize that the Circle of 12, their energetic frequency, is now coming into your space, unless you choose to ask them to not come into your space. Just let them know with your mind. And as they come into your space, with your eyes open, take in a deep breath of the healing vibrational frequency. And as you breathe in with your intention, breathe from 7 to 1 and 1 to 7. As you breathe in the energy of the 12th dimension, with your eyes open, recognize how you begin to see and experience the world around you while still being able to access the 12th dimension through your breath. Allow yourself to be bathed from 7 to 1 with this energy from the 12th dimension. Allow this energy to expand out to all the cells in your body, particularly those you have challenges with at this time. We wish to thank you for bringing your beautiful questions to this space today. In your time away from us in this forum, be sure to re-tap into the energy of the Circle of 12. They are the most powerful allies you have currently for your healing process, meaning the most powerful allies in this moment and for this experience. We appreciate your time, your care, and the love that you bring to this space. You are together healing yourselves and healing one another simply by being here. You are healing your community in this space. Look around. Those of you who are around you have assisted you in healing. Offer your gratitude from the heart to anyone who is in this space. And as you are healing yourselves individually and the collective of this space, you are healing your families and those around you in your physical community, and you are healing a wider group of people in greater ways than you can imagine. Allow yourself to simply focus on the gratitude you feel for being able to assist others in becoming more free from the suffering in their lives. We are so grateful for each of you. We send you our love and our acceptance of the fact that you have come more into yourself. You have come more into loving and connecting with yourself. You have come more into greater balance with the energy system of your body. For us to see, this is so beautiful, and we are so thankful. All right. I'm back. If you would like to do a brief discussion, we can I can clarify things for anyone who has questions about the experience that we just had, or uh, whatever it is that you have a question about. So please unmute yourselves one at a time.
Oh my gosh, that was simply amazing. There's every Tuesday I look forward to, but there was something extra special. It really hit me well, and especially since I really feel what they were saying at the end is this merging of like I'm letting go of the old patterns, and I'm really leaning into the things that heal me. And I went to live karaoke band and I sang two songs and I felt so energetic afterwards and continuing into this morning. And I think that's one of the reasons why the breathing today felt so good. But it's happening. It's really happening. It's happening. Yeah.
Right. Thank you for mentioning that. So, Lori, yeah, wonderful. I felt it today too, and I hope all of you did as well. Please continue to watch the recordings of these healing sessions. Um, we're calling them channeling, but I am a natural born healer, and I think that's the message that wishes to come through from the healers that come my way. Is this sense of healing and healing each of you. I see you all as completely healed. But Lori brought up a really good point. Lately in these channelings, and I have yet to say it out loud on a more consistent basis, is that the circle of 12 come in at a vibrational frequency that has sound to it. And it is a very interesting sound. It is like ethereal chanting almost, but the frequency is so unique that I don't even have words to describe it yet. But bringing music into your life, singing, karaoke, whatever it is that you're doing, music is another very powerful form of healing. Remember, when you are singing, what are you doing? You're breathing very deeply, and the breath comes out in sound. It is an actual breathing practice, singing. And so, if you find yourself inspired during these breathwork practices, someone else mentioned that they've been doing a humming practice. It is the same thing. So, as you are creating sound around what it feels like, what the sensation is of this breathwork, what the sensation is of health and healing, you may find that it changes the cells, and that gravity that they talk about, the adhesions. Remember, this is an energetic adhesion. So if any of you have ever had adhesions anywhere in your body, you know what it feels like when they release, right? There's sometimes a pop, there's sometimes, just a lot of discomfort in adhesions in the body. Well, the same is true of the energy world. So these adhesions that you are breathing into, that you're singing life into, that you're offering a different vibrational frequency to, will begin to separate. And as those adhesions, that gravity, there's space and it creates, more and more space in there, you'll find that there will be thoughts that come up. There will be memories that pop up. There will be experiences that you just didn't even know you had. There will be images. You'll have dreams. Just take notice of all of these energetic releases, right? So people often ask me, what is going on in my dream state? Well, actually, it is the body, the energy body, simply creating a form of release. Sometimes it's messages, and so you get images. Sometimes it's processing. Have you ever had dreams? I call them the garbage dreams, where you wake up and you're like, I don't know what that was, but I'm a little bit tired, and it felt like I was up all night. Because the dreams, your physical body, your energy body is attempting to release these areas of tension in the physical body so that you can be free. All energy in your body aims to and attempts to balance itself. And this energy system that we see through the chakras, whatever the practice is that you do, where you're looking at those energy centers, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, know that there are many more than that, but start with those basics. The more you can connect them up, today what I saw was a spiral that went from 7 connecting 6 and then 5 and then 4, right? The spiral then hit each of the energy centers. If you didn't see that, try it out, see if it works for you. But at the bottom, instead of it stopping in a point, it created a loop and it went right back up. So it was like you see the caduceus, the serpents or the spiral that for the medical symbol, where it goes to the bottom and it immediately returns back up. So as you do that breath practice and you're pulling that energy to connect, for those of you who have physical afflictions, you may find an energy center is not working as optimally as you would like. And as you breathe, allow the other 6 that are working optimally, or 5, or even 1 or 2, depending on your physical condition, allow that one to inform the others of what it's like to be healthy again. And then we'll begin in the future, and this is more information I got today, that each energy center has its own function, it has its own conversation. And so, Lori, thanks for hitting the tripwire on all that information. But the sound part is really important. So hum, sing, bring into your bodies more of that love experience of, if you think about it, when you look at the vibration of music on water, right? On the trays of water, we've all seen that. It ripples out, right? So that's all you're doing is you're bringing in that sound and it is allowing a vibrational frequency for your whole physical body. Awesome. Next question.
Real quick, I just wanted to say that everyone who has put in their emails, it has been recorded, especially if you see a little hand symbol next to your chat there. And all the questions have been recorded thus far as well.
Great, thank you. All right, next question.
I want to say thank you so much for today. It was really, really helpful for me, the information that was given. And I would like to know more about the violet beings or healers. I don't know if you want me to submit that for a future question directly to them, or I'm curious, in the past, I think you've mentioned, or they have mentioned, that they also live in 3D, in the 3D realm. And I'm curious to know, is it like Earth?
Yeah, that's a great question. Thank you for asking. And the violet people, or the violet healers, are a transition planet, essentially is how they described it today. So they do have a 3D existence that is considered a planet. And I want to say that when people ask, can you give me their names? Can you tell me where they're from? Can you tell me what star system they're from? Just know that the universe is vast. And I am a person who does not have a background in studying astronomy very deeply. I have an English degree, so I'm more, you know, in tune with words. So I may not offer up information about specific names or where they are from. So I cannot give you the name of their planet. I cannot tell you what star system they are in. Just know that they are out that way and that they come from a place where they understand very clearly what we are going through because they have had similar experiences. So their bodies themselves are in 3D. And much like those of us who spend a bit of time between 3D and 5D, you begin to feel your cells expanding and maybe you feel like you're disintegrating a little bit. That's the word that I use, where I feel like I'll laugh and say to some groups that I work with, I'll say, I went invisible that time. But if you look at the recording, you see Jan's 3D body. But I felt myself leave 3D completely. And I still felt myself sort of in 3D. Because if anything were to touch my body, I would feel that sensation. So this is where they are, that transition planet. Someone asked today how, I believe, I can't quite remember, a question about how to not get trapped in the 3D form as much, where you want to allow yourself to be in 5D a little bit more frequently, or access it at will, rather than it being kind of like, well, I have to do, a meditation where it's super long and I have to do a lot of heavy duty breath work in and out. I have to hyperventilate. I have to do substances, whatever it is that people do to mimic that transition between 3D and 5D. They are living, the violet people are living in that transition. So that's why they describe themselves as a transition people or transition planet where they can be in 3D and they can exist in 5D. So for those of you who want to use the terminology of evolution, you can say that they are evolving and that humans could also evolve as all of us in this group are evolving, right? With every breath work, I have people who say to me, well, it seems like they repeat the same message. Well, they kind of do, and then not. It's multi-layered. So showing up in the space and listening, even if you think you're hearing the same message, the layering of the vibrational frequency is reminding you of what it's like to be in that transition space. And so the transition that they have and why it is that when they visit, they often, as I have explained in the past, but I'll say it again, they come in through my fifth energy center. They kind of hijack it. And there's a little bit of a, you'll see my body move a little bit. There's a little bit of the, okay, I'm willing to be the mouthpiece, the megaphone, whatever it is. But there is a little bit of a challenge because they are transition and they're coming through this more dense 3D experience. I'm not 100% where they are yet in that total transition space, where it's like they are navigating through. Let me see if I can explain it with the words. So like the difference between swimming in clear water and maybe swimming in water that has a lot of debris in it. So they're kind of coming through the 3D, the cells, in order to communicate with you. But they are 100% and fully capable of communicating directly with you through your thoughts. And so many people recently, and I'd like to just throw this out there as well, so many people recently are saying, am I making this up in my mind? I've heard that a dozen times in the last 2 weeks. Am I making this up in my mind? And what I want to say to you is trust that everything that you are hearing, seeing, and experiencing is real and truth for you. And it is 100% acceptable and okay. If you are in a place in your life where you're not ready to say, I have things speaking to me in my mind because you're afraid of what the reaction will be on the outside, keep it to yourself. Write it in a journal, share it with your best friend, share it with someone like me, someone who's all about the conversations that are a little bit that are emerging in our world right now. If you watch one of my very first videos, I will say again and again, normalizing the conversation around 5D. It is the limitation in your mind that prevents you from accepting that if you want to be part of 5D, which is the unseen world, you're going to have to imagine in your head, right now, that the message that you get will be from 5D. So it's going to come in through whatever faculty of communication 5D can reach you. It will be your physical body. It will be your mind. It will be your senses. So trust and begin to trust more and more that whatever it is you hear in your head, whatever you feel in your body, whatever you're sensing in your physical world, that it is real and true for you. So I'll give you an example. I was trained as a shaman many years ago, a couple of decades ago. And when I went through the training, a lot of people would say, have you done this training before? And I said, I haven't. This is the first time. But so a lot of this is familiar. It was simply because I had already been communicating with the unseen world for my entire life. Since I was a child, I was born this way. But shamanism gave me a language, it gave me a format. I got to say, oh, I'm a shaman. I can talk about the unseen world. And it's acceptable because that's part of the shaman language. That's part of being a healer. As I've evolved and come to channeling outright, which I've been a channel since I was a child as well, since I've come to channeling outright, I have made a commitment to the fact that I have a background in academia. I was a professor at a university. I love academics and I love research, but I also love the fact that we can normalize the conversation of the unseen world. Medicine has come a very long way, right? Germs didn't even exist in the conversation in the 1700s. It was not a thing. And even now, our DNA strands that we are aware of in our science world, in our medical world, is far, far short of what it really, really is. So the unseen world is emerging all the time through science, and it is only because science is dictating what the conversation can be around the unseen world, what makes it acceptable to talk about. Allow yourself to talk about it with those who are comfortable with that conversation. And the more you trust in yourself that the messages you are getting are real and true for you, you will find that these messages will be helpful for others as well. I hope I answered that question. If not, hop back on and go ahead and ask it again or clarify. Otherwise, I'll take the next question.
If no one else has another question, I have another one, if you don't mind, Jan. And thank you
Sure.
for your last answer. You did answer it. I'm curious. So based on your answer about the violet beings, do you think that, and I understand that you might not have the actual answer, but I'm wondering what your thoughts are if human beings, like when we go into the 5D, if we're possibly going to help other beings when we're in that like kind of transition, like you just described, the violet beings are. And another question that's come to mind is, and again, maybe you don't know the answer, but when we leave our physical bodies and when we actually transition, like for good, I mean, from this life, do you think that right away we can channel information to beings that are still on Earth? Like, do you know how that might work?
Yeah, I know how both those things work. Yeah, great questions. And I love these questions because the more we create a body of knowledge around the unseen world, the more it will be, other people will have the experience as well. So if I can give you a visual, you can see it in your mind and then you can have an experience of your own. So first, I would like to talk about the second question, which is about the transition. So the transition time when we leave our bodies. Now, for those of you who heard me earlier, whether you were here or not, I don't know, or if you just know in general, my father passed last week, and it was shortly after the channeling session. And it's been a really interesting experience of conversation with him. And it is that, yes, there can be transmissions that happen from those who have recently departed. So, for example, my father chose to stay around for a little less than 24 hours. And as a shaman, we are trained to do something called death rites. You may see this in the movies where the priest goes in, and what did he do? He does the sign of the cross. Where did he do it? Over the energy centers, over the chakras. So where did that come from? Who knows? Well, from way back when shamans or energy people or indigenous tribes were doing death rites for people, they were opening the energy centers up, not closing them. So it just got twisted around a little in the translation. So opening the energy centers up, I did this with my dad. I opened the energy centers. I lifted his soul. It's a whole process. I won't go into it now. And then he was sitting next to me, and it was like we were sitting on a bench in my sister's house looking down on her. And I was saying to him, I'm here to walk you across the transition to whatever you want to call it, heaven, whatever you believe is next, right? To the realm of the ancestors. That's what I kept saying. Your mother's waiting for you. Your sister's waiting for you. And he could see them off in the distance. And as I'm discussing this with him, he's focused where on the 3D world and his regrets that he has for whatever his relationship was with my sister. Totally fine. So he and I talked for several hours, which was a minute in my time, 3 minutes, but it felt like a long time for him. And I waited and I listened to his discussion. Now, because my father died and he did not have a body of practice such as the ones we have here, right, where we're doing breath work, we're bringing awareness into and expanding the cells in our body, we're transitioning between 3D and 5D, whether it's even for a nanosecond or whatever it is we're doing, we have a little bit of greater awareness. My father did not. This was not part of his world. My father did not have the internet. He just was very old school. He had a landline. It was a different experience. He didn't have a spiritual practice. He was incapable of communicating with anyone but me because I went into the unseen world to speak with him. So therefore, he had an ability to have a communication with me. All of you have the ability to do this because there is a place where the recently departed go. For those of you with movie images popping into your mind, go ahead and enjoy the entertaining thought of that. Whatever it is you see, wherever you go, it's totally fine. The image doesn't matter. Your mind is going to fill in the gaps of what it looks like when you're in the unseen world. And it'll be different for everybody. So if my father had had some practice involved where he could then communicate information to somebody else, that would have been spectacular. I would have been jumping up and down. But that was not the case with his passing. I then helped transition him to the realm of the ancestors, in the process doing healing for him and having conversations with him, allowing him to, make peace with whatever it was that he thought were his regrets. However, Andrea, it's good to know that what we are doing here and what we are practicing in our transition work, right? So today there was a lot of downloaded information about transition and the importance of being comfortable in that transition. I have a friend who has a business, it's called Conscious Dying, and that is her whole mission in life. She's been doing it for over a decade, is that she attempts to assist people with dying consciously so that they can then share messages with their loved ones, or at least make a choice about where they will choose to take rebirth. If you are unfamiliar with the concept of this, I recommend that you seek out a documentary about the transition of the 16th Karmapa into the 17th Karmapa. It's a fascinating and mind-blowing, life-changing documentary of seeing one Tibetan monk, high level of practice, and there's video footage for the first time ever, die in Chicago as the 16th Karmapa, leaving messages to be refound and then being identified. And they film all of this for the 17th Karmapa as a child, where they identify him, they locate him, and then they basically film his life. It's really fascinating. And if you are wanting to have those experiences when you transition from this body, it's simply a matter of becoming comfortable with the transitions that we're doing right now between 3D and 5D. And the more proficient you become at what you're doing, the easier it will be from this transition to the next. My hope for myself is that when I transition, I can make a choice. If I am coming back again into another physical body on Earth, I can make a choice for where I'm born and which family. Without turning your cameras on, if I were to tell you to raise your hand, if you would have chosen a different birth family, there'd be a lot of hands go up. And that's okay, right? Because we're here for the experiences that we're having, and it's all good no matter what. But if you could choose where you're going next time, that could be life-changing in terms of the body of work that you take from one lifetime to the next. You could leave with awareness, come back as an infant with all the knowledge that you have in this lifetime, and then move forward. How quickly would the planet raise its vibrational frequency if we all could do that? Even if only 3 of us could do that, it would be amazing. All right, and are we helping other worlds? This is a wonderful question, and I do have something to say about it. Many of the stories I'm sharing here, I really never talk about with people because there's never been an opportunity for me to say out loud the experiences I've had over the course of a lifetime of being an unusual person, where I have the ability to experience the unseen world. It's been since I was born. And yes, it is possible to do that. And yes, you do travel and do things at will. And at the beginning, when I was first learning, you can watch some of my earlier videos. If you watch my Origins video earlier in the series of, and not that long ago, the Origins video will talk a little bit about where I reveal and discuss more of my starseed information. And now I've come to understand that everyone's a starseed, and finding out that origin story for yourself is very empowering in knowing where you are here in your life and what your purpose is and where you're going. So during my period of exploration, where I was remembering, right, my body of practices from all my other lifetimes, as I just stated, I was born completely unconscious and with a family that was not their world. So they couldn't support me in being the unusual child that I was compared to the norm at the time. That's changing in the world. Yay, I'm excited about that. So in the process of exploration over the last 2 decades, I had an awakening when I was 7, but really I was putting a lot of effort into experiencing the unseen world for myself in the last 2 decades when I trained as a shaman and beyond, up until now. And so in the last 10 years, however, I had many experiences where I went to other communities, much like the violet beings coming here, where they are in earnest helping. So I'll share one experience. Many of them will just have to be for another time, otherwise, we'll be here for hours. And this is a little bit of a crossover between 3D and 5D. So I have a friend who passed away more than 10 years ago, someone who was very, very close to me. You might describe like as a best friend, someone who's very, very close to me, a man. And we were friends in college. We met in college and then we stayed friends forever. He joined the military and had a very interesting job in the military. And we stayed connected through all this time. I visited him 2 or 3 days before he died, and he was having some emotional stuff come up, and he was crying. Right, so we're talking about someone who's super tough in the military for many years, and he said, "I'm not coming back from this mission." And of course, what do we do as a human? We want to preserve life. So I'm thinking 10,000 ways how I can kidnap him and prevent him from going on his next mission with the military. And instead, I cried a lot, knowing that when he shipped out, that he wasn't coming back. And then when the news came down the pipeline, because I had told several people who knew me as a healer and as a shaman, I said, "Hey, so and so's not coming back." And of course, people take it with a grain of salt. They laugh. They're like, "Okay, I'm curious to see if this happens." And so when he passed, and the mission was very messy, um, and the people that I did tell were, they had that experience, right? Of like, anything you ever tell me, I'm going to believe forever. And I said, and I'm not in the business of predicting people's deaths. There was something more to it, apparently. And so as he went into his passing, I did death rites for him. Long, long conversation there. And fast forward now, he's moved on. And then he returns to me in one of my meditations, and he's sitting right next to me. And I'm thinking, okay, well, 10 years have passed. Haven't seen you for a while. What's up? Need your assistance. So this is where then, because there was already a link for me, and this is just one story of many, with this person who departed from this planet, he went somewhere else. He went to another location. He didn't come back to Earth. And so he said, "I need some assistance where I am." And so in the shaman space, whatever you want to call that, in the quantum field, I was then invited to go and assist with something that was going on where he was located. I couldn't make this stuff up. Like, yes, I have an English degree, but I taught rhetoric and writing, composition, how to put words together, not necessarily a creative writer. So I could not have made these stories up in my mind. I just took them for what they were and I wrote them down and I created stories about it in, my computer as books. And so, yes, you can be asked to or volunteer. I've gone back to my planet of origin. You can watch that video numerous times with assistance for those beings. Don't underestimate yourselves as humans. There's this idea that somehow we're less evolved than other beings in the universe. And the truth is, all things are evolving as they evolve. So if you imagine the Big Bang, massive explosion, stuff happens, lots of things, lots of life, lots of blah, 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 all that. And so we're just one experience in a universe that has so many, like, just countless other iterations of life and whatever that looks like. That if we limit ourselves to thinking that this is it and this is the only thing, then we're really limiting ourselves to the possibility that our universe could be super incredible to think about, right? It's like if you visit another country and you go, oh my gosh, the food, the people, the experiences are amazing. Well, imagine if you went to a whole other planet. Like, it's like, mind blowing. So allow yourselves to simply imagine that some of the movies have been downloaded from information that is maybe the other world's trying to communicate with us. But that you do have the power and the ability and the information, right? We are a library planet. We are a planet where there's a lot of encoded information in our DNA, which is very unique. And we carry a vast amount of information within our DNA strands. Like I said, the simple thing that we see in science right now is not even close to what it actually is, and the connectedness between all of us. So we have information to share with other places. And they, some of them are like us, where they're reaching. They're saying, hey, we need assistance. You've got information that we don't have. If you could share with us, that'd be great. And yeah, I've shared information with other beings lots of times. And I've found it all to be very loving. And maybe that's because it's my approach to the world, is that people are generally good. And I find that all the species and the beings that I visited are good. And my experience has always been very positive. And does bad stuff happen? Sure. That's just not where I choose to focus my energy in particular. Andrea, did I answer your question thoroughly enough? Anything additional to that?
You did. Thank you so much. And I want to say I love hearing about your story. So thank you so much for offering this space. I love the channeling sessions. I get so much out of them. And I also love hearing about your stories and your experiences. From what you just shared, it did prompt another question, but I want to give other people an opportunity and I want to be mindful of your time. So if there's someone else that has a question, or if you have to go, I can wait. But if not, if there's more time, something else came to mind.
I do have time for an additional question. If it prompted an additional question from the conversation, Andrea, why don't you just go ahead and ask it? And for those of you who have additional questions, you can also put them in the chat.
Okay, thank you. So my question is, when we go into 5D, leave our physical bodies, like my understanding is that everything is connected, it's just oneness. But I also hear, like, from the story that you shared, say, like, particularly about your friend that came and asked you for help. How do we, like, how do we sense, or like your father, that it's your father, but isn't he, when he's in the 5D, no longer a he's like connected to oneness, everything? So how do they still have an identity when they've left the physical? Do you know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I love this. It's a great question. Okay, so let me explain it this way. So when someone leaves their body, and there is a period of time where they're actually not even in 5D yet, they're in what I would call 4D. And there are different conversations around the dimensions and what each one means. So 4D is what I would call the holding tank. It's like literally the dimension that's between 3D and 5D. And I'm going to talk about the dimensions. I'm not sure if I did a video already on it, but I definitely should talk about the individual dimensions, because they are like the energy centers. They each have their own kind of vibe and frequency and whatever. And I talk about 12, sometimes 16, but just know there are infinite dimensions and they're all existing at the same time. So I am a very sensitive person. So when my father made his transition and he was in what I call 4D, so between 3D and 5D, he just felt like himself. I saw him physically formed as himself. That's not the case with everyone I do death rites with, because sometimes I don't know people. Their family will reach out and say, hey, would you do death rites for so-and-so? I'm like, yeah, absolutely. And I don't even know what this person looks like. I don't have a photograph. Sometimes don't even know the person who asks me to do it. They just book a session and that's what we do. So what I will do is just sense into and create an image from my mind, likely, or maybe it is actually who they are. I've never tried to verify, because none of those details are really ever important to me. It's always it's the vibrational frequency, and then how it forms, that vibrational frequency forms based on the data within me that creates, like, oh, brown hair, blue eyes, blah, 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 a picture. And I take it for what it is and move forward with that. So the vibrational frequency of the person who departs is going to be very obvious to you if it's someone you know. And as you get better at it, you will feel their vibrational frequency and just simply know that it's a separate being. You can give them names, you can call them all the same name. It's like, it doesn't really matter. And I find that when I get kind of hooked up on trying to figure out names or places or what's the planet or what's the star system, then I hop out of the quantum field and I'm in my mind trying to figure stuff out. So you know very clearly who the person is when they are transitioning, or if you are in communication with beings from other worlds, you'll sense that it's different. Like when I was first sensing into the circle of 12, I was like, are they angelic, right? I'm starting to use categories that are in my brain because the brain always wants familiar so I can categorize it and move on to something else. So with the circle of 12, I was like, why is there webbing between their fingers? Or, and I was trying to, and I was focusing too much on it. So from the very first experience I had with them into the further, the newer ones, I now just take that they're this vibrational frequency that requires a little less of the human mind to grasp and pick up on what it is that they look like. So they're not Aquafarian, they are not angelic, they are their own thing, which it didn't have a category, but my mind immediately was trying to figure something out. So let's talk just for a minute about the dimensions, because this part is really important and it's an answer to your question as well. So if you were to imagine the dimensions as a layered cake, right? We got a 12-layer cake. Yum. I love cake. Okay, 12 layers of cake. And there's first, second, third, fourth, sixth. Okay, and yeah, we can, mind blowing. So imagine that you have this cake, right? And we're going to make it a cube because it's got layers, it's got sides, and it's a perfect cube. It's a beautiful cake. It's on one of those HGTV shows. It's gorgeous cake. So it's like that. You can look at the individual layers and you can be like, okay, I'm going to look at the fourth dimension, and my dad's right here at the fourth dimension. Oh, now we're at the fifth dimension. Talk about that in a second. But know that if you were to get on, like, look at the top of the cake, right, where the decorations usually are, and you were to simply dive down into the cake, then you'd be experiencing all the dimensions going at once. So that's really how the dimensions exist, is that you are within all the dimensions at the same time. But the human mind, because it works on more of a linear scale of space and time, it will create, layers of the cake. So just understand that the dimensions are all happening right now at the same time. So that might assist you in understanding more of, like we say, we're going from 3D to 5D. It's really that you're not moving from this spot. It's perception. Your perceptual state is changing. So when in shamanic work, when you do death rites, there is what they describe, and maybe these words will assist you all in understanding a little bit more. The shamans describe the experience of, basically, there's the Middle Earth. There's a famous movie that talks all about Middle Earth. If you haven't seen it, you should check that out. There are like 6 of them, maybe more, 7. So there's Middle Earth, right? And this is where the living it reside, right here in Middle Earth. And then they have what they call the underworld. So if you studied Carl Jung, you know a little bit about the underworld or the unconscious, right? And then there's what they call the upper world. So when you are assisting one in transitioning from the body to the realm of the ancestors, you're going from Middle Earth or the middle world, and you're leaving this all down here to be what it is, right? Because that's where the body's going, is back to the earth, back to the unknown, and becoming something else. So then this spirit, my father will use as an example, you will guide them right into the upper world. So it is in layers. So you'll see these themes keep crossing over again and again, and I won't talk specifically about my connections in my head, but you go from the 3D world, and as you begin to move into the upper realm, it is the realm of the stone people, the plant people, the animal people, and then the ancestors, right? It's 4 levels. And so what happens sometimes when people leave rather suddenly, so using another example from my family, I had a family member many, many years ago who died very suddenly of his own doing. And so when I went in to do death rites for him, he didn't make it to the realm of the ancestors. He was somewhere down here, right? And so even though we talk about this 4th dimension, there are layers within each dimension as well. So don't allow yourself to get too overwhelmed by the complexity of it. If you can find it more curious, more interesting, more fascinating, that's like I'm exploring this cool new thing. It's a whole new country. But know that the goal of the shaman in transitioning people is to get them up to the realm of the ancestors. So they'll be seeing, heaven and the people who passed before them. So the dimensional talking about dimensions is, in my opinion, extremely fascinating. But know that it all exists all at the same time. It's perceptual shifts and those transitions between your perceptions that is really where you're moving from 3D to 5D. Did I answer that completely? If not, go ahead and clarify.
Yeah. So from my understanding, it's that when we transition out of our physical body and we go to other dimensions, we're taking our vibrational frequency with us, and that's what kind of distinguishes us in that realm from other conscious beings.
Yeah. So it's like, to use human words, like we consider ourselves to have a soul, and there's science out there that when people die, the body loses a certain amount of weight, and it's very little, but it's something, and it's very consistent. There have been studies about the soul leaving the body, and that it actually has a weight to it. So when someone dies, if they were to be weighed a moment before and a moment after, the weight would be different, because there's this concept of the soul that is leaving the body. That is a vibrational frequency. So when I've done past life regression with people and taken them to other lifetimes, they will feel the vibrational frequency of whatever the collection of their cells happen to be in the Middle Ages or wherever we find them, right? But there is always this vibrational part of you that never changes. So it is timeless. So in every lifetime, while that body may have been different, and in that body, there may have been a vibrational frequency that feels different than Jan Wakefield today. Because I was in Tibet last lifetime, and the vibrational frequency of the man that I was as a monk was very different from what I am now. But the soul and the essence of myself is its own frequency, and it stays the same. It's just as if you were to take almost like a wire frame, the soul, and then add on to it layers of, the bones and the skin and the personality and the experiences. And it just kind of beefs out into being a human of a different kind each time you're born. But there is this essence that's within you. And those are the vibrational frequencies that I experience when I do dimensional traveling or dimensional walking. I experience those vibrational frequencies, which allows me to see individuals in front of me. I believe if that were to go away, that you didn't have that vibrational frequency, then you would cease to recognize yourself as separate from other energies in the world, and you'd probably, oh, this could be the answer to black holes. I'd like to download more information about that. Find that interesting, but I think that if that vibrational frequency ceases to exist, I would like to know what that is myself. I'm going to say, I don't know. Love to find out, though.
Yeah, thanks for sharing what you did share. Yeah, and I'll kind of ponder that and make sense of it in my own mind. Yeah, like I feel like I have to kind of reflect on it and see how, yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. And remember, we're all panning for gold here, right? It's like you take the thing and you put the sand and the gold is in there and you're just shaking it a little by little until all the gold appears. And that's the gold is you. So
Yeah.
yeah, allow yourself to have these experiences of whatever my words are, let them come into you and resonate with what's in you, creating your own images, your own pictures, your own experiences. Your story is uniquely yours. That is what the blue healers say when they're an empowering species. They want to empower us to draw conclusions and be who we are and to have understandings in our own way that not one person has all the answers. It's a matter of listening to all the information, bringing it in and saying, oh, this is how it works for me. And that's when we find ourselves released from the contrast or the challenges in our lives.
Thank you, Jan. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right. It's so wonderful to be here with all of you. Thanks for listening and joining in and asking and listening to the questions and answering some of my questions. It's really wonderful. I truly appreciate each of you and sending you off with lots of love. If we get hearts today, there they are. All right. Mahalo.